Life doesn't always move in a straight line. There are moments when everything feels like it's collapsing, when no plan seems to work, when the weight on your shoulders feels almost unbearable. In those moments, it's not the circumstances that define your future. It's your response. Because life will test you. It will throw storms your way not to destroy you, but to shape you into someone stronger, more focused, more powerful. When life gets hard, you have a choice to break down or break through. When life presses down with its full weight and the storm seems relentless, the very first thing that determines whether you crumble or rise is not the size of the challenge, but the state you allow yourself to live in. Everything begins with your state. Your state is the emotional, mental, and physical energy you bring into the moment. It's the invisible force that decides whether you think clearly or panic, whether you act with power or collapse under pressure. When adversity strikes, most people allow their external circumstances to dictate their internal world. They let the storm control their emotions, their focus, and their behavior. They react instead of respond. But the truth is, if you don't control your state, the storm will control you. Imagine a ship in rough seas. The waves are high, the winds are furious, and the night is dark. A weak captain panics, doubts, and loses direction. A strong captain steadies their breathing, sharpens their focus, and adjusts the sails. The storm is the same, but the response is entirely different. That captain understands that the ocean will not calm down for them. They must steady themselves first, because only from a grounded state can they make the right decisions to navigate through the chaos. Life works the same way. Your problems will not wait for you to feel better. The challenges won't give you time to figure it out slowly. You must claim control over your state now, in the middle of the storm, because that's the moment it matters most. When everything feels overwhelming, your mind begins to spiral. Fear whispers worst-case scenarios. Doubt tells you that you can't handle it. Frustration clouds your judgment. If you let these emotions run wild, they'll sabotage your ability to think and act effectively. But the incredible power you have is the ability to shift this instantly. You don't need to wait for inspiration. You don't need someone to come and rescue you. You can change your state right here, right now, by changing three things: your focus, your physiology, and your language. These are your levers of power. Focus is the first lever. Whatever you consistently focus on, you feel. If you focus on what's going wrong, what you've lost, or how hard things are, your brain magnifies that reality. You'll feel defeated before you even start. But if you deliberately shift your focus to what you can control, to what's possible, to what strength you still have, everything starts to change. In the darkest moments, your focus determines whether you see a dead end or a doorway. Ask yourself empowering questions. What can I do right now to take back control? What's one step I can take to make progress? What have I overcome before that proves I can handle this? The quality of your questions determines the quality of your focus. When you shift your focus, your emotions follow. Next is physiology. Your body is a direct gateway to your emotional state. Notice how you carry yourself when you're feeling hopeless. Your shoulders slump. Your breathing is shallow. Your movements are slow. That physical posture communicates weakness to your brain. But if you deliberately change how you use your body, stand tall, breathe deeply, move with strength, you send a new signal to your nervous system. You tell yourself, I'm in charge. The fastest way to break a negative state is through intense physical change. Jump, stretch, run, shake it out, breathe powerfully. It may sound simple, but it's profoundly effective because your emotions are deeply tied to your body. When your body shifts, your mind follows. Then comes language. The words you use shape the way you feel. If you constantly say, this is impossible, I'm stuck, I can't handle this, your brain takes those commands literally and shuts down creative solutions. But if you change your language to something empowering, I've got this, I will figure this out, this is tough, but I'm tougher. You give your brain a new set of instructions. Words are not just sounds, they're blueprints for how your mind constructs reality. So guard your language carefully, especially when life gets hard. Speak to yourself with the same strength and certainty you'd use to lift up someone you love who's struggling. When you combine focus, physiology, and language, you take back control of your internal world. You stop being a victim of circumstance and become the architect of your response. This doesn't mean the problems disappear overnight. It means you step into the storm with power instead of panic. You create clarity where there was confusion. You find strength where there was fear. Think about a time in your life when everything seemed impossible, but somehow you found a way through. Maybe it was a personal loss, a financial struggle, a betrayal, or a period of self-doubt. In that moment, the turning point wasn't when the problem disappeared. It was when you changed your state, when you shifted from helplessness to determination, from fear to courage, from despair to resolve. That shift didn't come from outside. It came from inside. You tapped into a power you always had. That same power is within you right now, waiting for you to activate it. Too often, people believe they have to feel good before they can act. They wait for motivation, inspiration, or clarity to magically appear. But waiting is a trap. Action and emotional control create the feeling, not the other way around. When life gets hard, you can't afford to be passive. You have to decide, in an instant, that you will take charge of your state no matter how chaotic things seem. Controlling your state is like flipping a switch. At first, it takes conscious effort. You must catch yourself when negative thoughts start spiraling. You must deliberately move your body when you want to curl up and give in. You must choose empowering language when doubt tries to speak louder. But with practice, this becomes your default response. When others panic, you stay calm. When others hesitate, you move. When others give up, you rise. This is not about pretending everything is fine. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about stepping into a state where you can face reality with power. When you're in a strong state, your mind becomes sharper. Solutions appear where previously there were only problems. You make better decisions. You act faster. You inspire those around you. Most importantly, you remind yourself that no matter how hard life gets, you are always in control of how you show up. When challenges hit, take a moment to center yourself. Breathe deeply. Stand strong. Ask better questions. Speak powerful words. Move your body with intensity. Shift your focus to what you can control. This is how you reclaim your power in the middle of chaos. This is how you stop the storm from controlling you and start navigating through it like a warrior. Life will never stop testing you. Storms will come and go. But if you master the ability to control your state, you'll no longer fear them. You'll know that no matter how fierce the winds, you can stand firm. You'll stop waiting for the world to calm down and start becoming the calm in the world. This is the foundation of resilience. This is where real strength begins. Because when you own your state, you own the moment. When you own the moment, you shape your destiny. Pain is inevitable, but what you decide to do with it determines everything. When life gets hard, the pain you feel can either become the weight that drags you under or the fire that forges you into something extraordinary. Most people see pain as an enemy. They run from it, hide from it, numb it, or pretend it doesn't exist. But pain is not there to punish you, it's there to awaken you. It is the ultimate teacher, the force that pushes you beyond what's comfortable and exposes the parts of you that need to grow. If you want to turn hardship into strength, you must learn to turn pain into power. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has walked through seasons of deep pain. Not one of them escaped struggle. The difference between those who break down and those who break through lies in how they respond to pain. Some allow it to define them, to trap them in bitterness, fear, or regret. Others use it as a stepping stone, transforming it into fuel for growth, resilience, and clarity. Pain has a strange way of stripping away illusions. It shows you who you really are when everything easy is taken away. It exposes your limits, your patterns, your insecurities. But it also reveals your strength, your determination, and your capacity to rise. When pain hits, the instinctive reaction is to avoid it. People distract themselves with entertainment, drown it in temporary pleasures, or shut down emotionally. But the truth is, whatever you resist persists. If you run from pain, it grows stronger. It controls your behavior from the shadows. But if you face it directly, if you lean into it with courage, it begins to lose its power over you. The act of turning toward pain, instead of away from it, is the first step toward transformation. Think of pain like fire. If you touch it carelessly, it burns. If you fear it and run, it spreads uncontrollably. But if you learn how to work with it, it becomes a source of warmth and power. When life gets hard, pain is the fire that can forge a stronger version of you. It demands that you pay attention. It forces you to reflect, to adapt, and to evolve. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" shift the question to, "What is this trying to teach me?" That single change of perspective transforms pain from something meaningless into something purposeful. Every painful experience carries a lesson. Sometimes the lesson is about letting go of something you were holding on to too tightly. Sometimes it's about discovering strength you didn't know you had. Sometimes it's about breaking patterns that have kept you stuck. Pain doesn't always speak in gentle whispers. Often, it screams, shakes, and breaks down walls. But if you listen carefully, there is always a message inside it. It's showing you what needs to change, what needs to grow, or what needs to end. Pain also has the power to create depth. People who have never faced real struggle often live on the surface, easily shaken by small inconveniences. But those who have walked through real pain develop a depth of character that can't be faked. They become more empathetic, more grounded, more unshakable. Pain humbles you and builds compassion. It allows you to connect with others in a way surface level comfort never can. When you've suffered and healed, you carry a quiet strength that speaks louder than words. The turning point happens when you stop labeling pain as purely negative. When you see it as an opportunity for growth, your relationship with it changes. Instead of asking, how do I escape this? You begin to ask, how can I use this? There's immense power in that shift. Because pain, when embraced with intention, becomes energy. It becomes fuel. It becomes motivation. Many of the greatest breakthroughs in life happen after a period of intense struggle. The loss that shattered you becomes the reason you found your purpose. The failure that humiliated you becomes the drive to master your craft. The betrayal that broke your heart becomes the push to set stronger boundaries and build self-respect. Consider moments in your own life when pain changed you. Perhaps there was a time when someone doubted you, and instead of shrinking, you decided to prove them wrong. Maybe a personal loss forced you to appreciate life more deeply. Maybe a setback became the spark that made you rebuild your life from the ground up. At the time, those moments felt unbearable, but looking back, you can see they shaped you in ways nothing else could. That's the power of pain when you choose to face it instead of fear it. Pain also builds resilience. Every time you confront it and push through, you strengthen your emotional muscles. Just like lifting heavy weights builds physical strength, enduring hardship builds inner strength. At first, it feels overwhelming. You question whether you can handle it. But as you face it again and again, something changes. You become more adaptable, less easily shaken. You start to trust yourself. You realize that no matter what happens, you can handle it. That's a level of confidence no comfort zone can ever give you. There's also a beauty in pain that most overlook. It clarifies what truly matters. When everything is stripped away, the noise fades. You stop caring about superficial things. You see your priorities clearly. Pain simplifies life in a way comfort never will. It reveals who your real friends are, what your real values are, and what goals are truly worth fighting for. It strips off the excess and focuses your energy like a laser. Turning pain into power is not about pretending to enjoy suffering. It's about deciding that if you're going to experience it anyway, you might as well make it meaningful. It's about using every ounce of that energy to grow, to build, to rise. When you take the raw, chaotic energy of pain and channel it into action, purpose, and resilience, it becomes unstoppable. That heartbreak can fuel your self-love journey. That rejection can ignite your ambition. That failure can sharpen your skills. Pain gives you intensity. What you do with that intensity is up to you. There will be moments when it hurts so deeply that you can't see any lesson. That's okay. Growth doesn't always happen in the middle of the storm. Sometimes it happens in the aftermath. The key is not to close yourself off. Don't let pain harden you. Let it refine you. Let it shape you into someone wiser, stronger, and more compassionate. If you carry your pain wisely, it becomes a source of strength rather than a permanent wound. The reality is that life will always bring challenges. You can't avoid them, but you can choose to rise above them. You can decide to let pain push you forward instead of hold you back. Every time life knocks you down, you have two choices: stay down and let the pain define you, or stand up and let the pain drive you. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Suffering happens when you resist what is, when you cling to the idea that life should be easy. Growth happens when you accept reality and use it as a catalyst. When life gets hard, lean into the discomfort. Feel it fully. Don't numb it. Don't run from it. Ask yourself what this moment is trying to teach you. Let it sharpen your focus. Fuel your determination and build your resilience. The very thing that feels unbearable today might be the foundation of your greatest strength tomorrow. Pain is not the end of your story. It's the chapter where your transformation begins. Every scar you carry tells a story, not a weakness, but of survival and strength. You've already faced pain before and made it through. You can do it again. Let it be the spark that lights your fire, the weight that builds your strength, and the teacher that shapes your wisdom. When you embrace pain instead of resisting it, you stop being controlled by it. You start using it. And that's when you become unstoppable. When life gets hard, hesitation can quietly become the biggest enemy. In tough times, most people freeze. They overthink. They wait for the perfect moment. They hope the storm will pass on its own. But the truth is, waiting never solves the problem. Life responds to movement. Momentum is created through decisive action, not through endless thinking. When everything feels uncertain, the most powerful thing you can do is take massive action, even when it hurts. Even when you don't have all the answers, action builds clarity. Action builds confidence. Action transforms chaos into progress. In difficult moments, fear often disguises itself as logic. You start telling yourself that you need more time, that you need to figure everything out first, that now isn't the right moment. But deep down, it's hesitation trying to protect you from discomfort. You think that by standing still, you're avoiding risk. But in reality, you're allowing the situation to control you. The longer you wait, the more doubt grows. The more doubt grows, the harder it becomes to move. It's a cycle that keeps people stuck for years. The way to break that cycle is to move. Even if the first step is small, even if it's uncertain. Think about how momentum works in life. A stationary car takes more effort to get moving than one that's already rolling. It's the same with your goals, your problems, your challenges. Starting is the hardest part. Once you begin, the resistance starts to fade, and opportunities begin to appear that you couldn't see from a standstill. Action has a way of revealing paths that hesitation keeps hidden. When you take that first step, you don't need to see the entire road. You just need enough courage to move forward. Each step reveals the next. When life becomes painful, it's tempting to retreat, to withdraw, to convince yourself that you'll act when you feel stronger. But waiting to feel strong before you act is backward. Strength comes from acting while you're scared, tired, or uncertain. Every decisive move you make builds a layer of confidence. You begin to prove to yourself that you are capable, that you can keep going even when it's tough. That internal proof becomes your foundation. No motivational quote or external encouragement can replace the self-respect you build by taking action when you least feel like it. Massive action doesn't always mean doing something dramatic. It means doing something meaningful. It's about refusing to stay stuck. It could be making that uncomfortable phone call, applying for that opportunity you've been doubting yourself over, confronting the issue you've avoided, or simply showing up when everything inside you wants to hide. The key is movement with intensity and purpose. When you commit to acting despite the pain, you send a message to your mind and your circumstances that you are not someone who backs down. Action also disrupts negative patterns. When life gets hard, your mind can spiral into fear, overanalyzing every possible outcome. The longer you stay in that loop, the bigger the problems seem. Taking action interrupts that loop. It forces your focus outward toward solutions rather than fears. You can't simultaneously drown in doubt and take bold action. One will overpower the other. When you choose movement, your energy shifts. You stop feeding the fear and start feeding the momentum. There's a hidden power in imperfect action. So many people wait for the perfect plan, the ideal timing, or complete clarity before they act. But life rarely gives you perfect conditions. If you wait for perfection, you'll wait forever. Imperfect action beats perfect inaction every single time. Progress doesn't come from flawless execution. It comes from relentless movement. You make a decision, you act, you learn, you adjust, and you keep going. That's how breakthroughs happen. When you act boldly in difficult times, you develop a sense of control over your life. You stop feeling like a victim of your circumstances and start becoming the driver. Even if the action doesn't solve everything instantly, the psychological shift is massive. You feel alive again, you feel capable. You feel like you're doing something instead of being consumed by what's happening. That sense of agency is often the difference between those who rise from hard times and those who remain stuck in them. Think back to moments in your life when you were stuck, overwhelmed, or afraid. What changed things wasn't sitting around thinking about it endlessly. It was that one decision to act. Maybe you made a call, started a new chapter, or took a risk you were terrified to take. At the moment, you didn't have all the answers, but that action led to the next, and then the next. Looking back, you can see how that single step was the turning point. The clarity didn't come first, it came after you moved. There's also a psychological phenomenon where action reduces fear. Fear thrives in the unknown. The longer you stand still, the more your mind imagines worst-case scenarios. But once you start taking steps, the unknown becomes known. Even if the situation is difficult, your brain shifts from imagining to experiencing, and that reduces the intensity of fear. Suddenly, the challenge feels more manageable, not because it became easier, but because you stopped feeding it with uncertainty. Massive action requires commitment, not convenience. Anyone can act when things are easy. True strength is built when you take steps while the ground is shaking. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, not just what you feel like doing. When you develop the habit of acting decisively in tough moments, It becomes a natural part of who you are. You stop waiting for motivation and start relying on momentum. Action also inspires others. When people see someone taking bold steps in the middle of hardship, it sparks something in them. It gives them permission to do the same. Without even realizing it, your courage becomes a ripple effect. You show others that it's possible to keep moving even when everything seems uncertain. And sometimes the inspiration you give to others comes back to you in unexpected ways, reinforcing your own strength. It's important to understand that taking massive action doesn't guarantee immediate success. There will be mistakes, setbacks, and moments where things don't go as planned. But every action brings you closer to solutions, even if it's through lessons learned. Failure is not the opposite of progress. It's part of it. Every step you take, even the ones that don't work out, gives you information, experience, and resilience. The only true failure is standing still. When you act despite the pain, you create your own momentum. And momentum is a powerful force. It can turn a small spark into a wildfire. Once you're in motion, everything changes. You see opportunities you couldn't see before. You find strength you didn't know you had. Obstacles that once looked massive begin to shrink as you grow through action. That's why the hardest step is always the first one. But once you take it, the rest begins to flow. Life rewards those who move. It doesn't wait for those who hesitate. The world doesn't hand clarity to those who sit still. It reveals itself to those who step forward with courage. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when it hurts, even when doubt is screaming in your head, that's the exact moment you must move. Because if you can act when it's hard, you can act anytime. If you can push forward in pain, you become unstoppable. The storms in life aren't meant to paralyze you. They're meant to test your willingness to keep going. Taking massive action is how you show the storm that you will not be broken. It's how you turn adversity into progress, fear into fuel, uncertainty into growth. Every decisive step you take while the world seems heavy is a statement. I will not be controlled by this moment. I will control my response. In the end, it's not the size of the challenge that determines your outcome. It's the size of your action. Small action, small change. Massive action, massive change. When life gets hard, don't shrink. Don't wait. Don't let hesitation rob you of your power. Move with conviction. Take bold steps. Keep going even when it's uncomfortable. Because through action, you shape your future. Through action, you find your strength. Through action, you rise.